If you're looking for a new car, it is now statistically more likely that you are looking for an SUV. I'm walking through this dense jungle to make you realise just how complex it is, and so I can use the phrase, it's a jungle out there. If you're starting at around 30 grand, I can name around 10 or 15 cars that you're going to need to look at. That's a lot of cars. If you are starting at 30 grand, here's one of them. It's the Suzuki Vitara Turbo. It's a front-wheel drive compact SUV that's just spent the last few months on my driveway. So this video is all about what it's like to own a Suzuki Vitara Turbo. Now before I go on and tell you all about the Vitara, let me remind you that here on the Cars Guide YouTube channel there are more reviews of this particular car and pretty much anything on sale in Australia today. So make sure you click the subscribe button, click the bell button so you get a little notification every time we put up a new video so you won't miss a thing from the Cars Guide YouTube team. Also, don't forget you can go and read all of the written reviews of these cars at carsguide.com.au. So to recap, the Vitara Turbo sits in the middle of a three-tier range. At the bottom, you've got the Vitara, which has a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated engine and misses out on some of the safety gear. You've got the Turbo, which is this one, which is 5.5 grand more. And then you've got the Vitara All Grip, which has all-wheel drive. Which brings me to the first thing I like about this car, the engine. Underneath the bonnet is the charmingly 80s titled Booster Jet. It's a 1.4 litre four-cylinder turbo and it has 103 kilowatts and 220 newton meters of torque. Now, 103 kilowatts, that's pretty much the same as most other cars in the segment, but the torque adds a fair bit more. So it's got a bit more punch than most cars around this price. It's also got a proper transmission, a 6-speed automatic. It's a really good engine. Now there's an ongoing argument in the Cars Guide office about the base model Vitara's engine and the Turbo. I reckon the Turbo is worth another 5.5 grand, all on its own. I think it's that much better. It's much easier to drive, it's torquey, it's reasonably powerful. You're not going to get beaten up by Toyota CHR drivers. Like, it's all of those good things. It's also got a proper 6-speed auto, so it drives really nicely and it's well tuned. I don't think I ever used the paddles, even though the paddles are right here. It's very good. One thing I didn't like is this 7-inch screen here in the dash. While the hardware's all right, the software, it's a little bit Fisher-Price. It's been kicking around Suzuki's for a while now, so it's probably time for an update. The sat-nav is pretty basic, but it's okay. But having Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, as this car does, kind of renders the sat-nav moot. The sound from the speakers is all right though. What I did like was the space. This is one spacey, compact SUV. Like another underappreciated example of the genre, the Honda HR-V, this car has a ton of space. Front and rear there is lots of room for people of varying heights, such as fellow Cars Guider Richard Berry, my almost as tall son, and comparatively little old me at an eyelashes width under 6 feet. The boot is a pretty good size too and swallowed enough paint to cover our house. The outside of our house. Yes, while I was inside working from home, my wife painted the outside of our house, and the Vitara got the paint home, and the various bits of outdoor furniture she bought to go with the new paint, and the indoor furniture that somehow had to go with the new paint. The boot is also good for airport runs, but the Vitara only clocked up one of those in this almost plane-free year for me and my extended family. Now, while it is very spacious all around the car and here in the back seat, it's a bit mean back here. There's nothing here. There's no armrest, no cup holders. There's a map pocket, but who uses maps anymore? It's a bit grim. It does have bottle holders, but you can't put cups in there. Yeah, could be a bit more friendly, Suzuki. Another thing I like about the Vitara is it's got a lot of stuff. LED headlights, which you can tell by this NAF blue ring, which is better than the old red one. Climate control. Really cool trim on the seats, and something a lot of buyers don't think about. Really good tyres. Even though they've got Eco in the title, which is usually bad news, they're really good quality from Continental and they're really grippy, and they're probably the best tyres on any compact SUV. And it's quite a lot of fun to drive too. Like, not many cars can ride and handle and be this high as the Vitara. I guess Suzuki's been making these things for 30 years, but it's just a really nice balance, and I actually really quite enjoy throwing this thing through corners. But at the same time, passengers are really happy in it because it rides really well, it's very comfortable, and it's quiet when you're on the move. And it doesn't use much fuel either. Now, the official figure is 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres, but we know not to take too much notice of that. Every time I've had a Vitara Turbo, it's used around about 8 litres per 100 kilometres. So measured at the pump and on the dashboard, it came out at 8.2 over the few months we had it, which included mostly driving around near my home because COVID and not going away very far. But a couple of highway runs, that's pretty good going. Four months with the Vitara and my enthusiasm is undimmed. It's such a good little car, and I think it's overlooked because it's a Suzuki. It's cheap to run, it's fantastic to drive. I've had a lot of fun in this car and we've got a lot done in this car. So yeah, 4 months later, I'm still a big fan of the Vitara.